Hey guys, just making this video to spare a thought for Lisa Wilkinson. She's going through a very difficult time at the moment. She's currently harborside in her sprawling mansion, being guarded by security guards, contemplating how she found herself in such a situation. But of course, we've all been very critical of Lisa over the last couple of days, and she's not very happy with the spotlight. So spare a thought for Lisa. But let's really look into why she is the subject of all of this, because I think she has a lot to do with her own demise at the moment in the public eye. And all of this, of course, relates to Brittany Higgins, the tape, the recordings, and the interview that Lisa Wilkinson was involved in, and the fact that a lot of this has now been exposed through these recordings and text messages being published in rival networks and rival newspapers as opposed to Channel 10. Now, Lisa Wilkinson has filed an official complaint. This is an article from The Guardian. Lisa Wilkinson lodges official complaint with Seven Network over Bruce Lehrmann interview. Let's have a read. Lisa Wilkinson has lodged an official complaint with the Seven Network about a program that featured an interview with Bruce Lehrmann and about a separate segment on morning television. Wilkinson lodged a complaint on Tuesday alleging that broadcast breached commercial television standards and can escalate the complaint to the Australian Communications and Media Authority if it is not resolved, her lawyers confirmed. The complaint relates to the Spotlight program shown on 4th June featuring an interview with Lehrmann and a segment on Sunrise 2 days later, which referred to a letter allegedly sent to Wilkinson by Brittany Higgins. The contents of the complaint are unclear, but lawyers for Network 10 Wilkinson and Higgins, who alleges she was raped by Lehrmann, have raised serious concerns as Seven appeared to have improperly used evidence from Lehrmann's trial in the Spotlight program. The lawyers have raised these concerns with the network, the ACT Director of Public Prosecutions, the ACT Supreme Court, and the Australian Federal Police Court documents show. Now, we've heard a couple of days ago that actually Channel Network 10 had lodged a complaint as well with the AFP around how these recordings got out, right? It's all very embarrassing for Lisa Wilkinson for Channel 10 because a lot of this exposes the way that they were going on about telling this story. And it's laughable to think that a journalist or a reporter or whatever Lisa Wilkinson identifies as these days would think that another network using the same type of tactics, the same type of journalistic protections of sources when they received certain material about a story that's of public interest, then publishing that story should be held to some standard where Lisa Wilkinson is off limits, right? This is what this is about. Lisa Wilkinson is off limits. See, Lisa Wilkinson, these networks, the project, any other show that she's been on in the past, they've exposed people before, right? They've published stuff before. They've gotten stuff from sources. They've published that material, and it's been embarrassing for those people. But those people aren't afforded the ability to complain to the network directly like this in terms of if it been actually taken seriously, right? It's laughable most of the time, but not for Lisa. Lisa Wilkinson thinks that the network should itself stop covering this topic. And it's to stop further embarrassing things potentially coming out. Now, that tape that we're hearing a lot of these conversations that Lisa Wilkinson is having is about 5 hours long, right? Who the hell knows what are the loony things, right, that Lisa Wilkinson said when she thought the cameras and stuff was off and no one was ever going to hear this, right? Because we're getting a picture of the real Lisa Wilkinson, perhaps. The public, that's the perception. And she's really worried about that because we've seen comments that she's made, which are, Senator Price, Indigenous Senator, who has said that she felt that those comments were racially tinged or they were derogatory. These are comments talking about how this Indigenous Senator was a token pick and then comparing that to how it's like a joke about black cleaners, like these kind of comments. And of course, the allegations that originally aired on the network on the Spotlight show, which showed potentially a lot of people have alleged that Lisa Wilkinson potentially coaching Brittany Higgins to give certain answers, right? And since then, a lot of these recordings, we have seen Lisa Wilkinson really being involved in this story in a political manner and really kind of exposing the lengths that she has gone to in terms of framing her mistrust of the Liberal Party or her mistrust of governments in general when it comes to women's issues and putting that into the mind of Brittany Higgins. Again, these are all allegations, but based on the recordings, we can see a lot of this happening. So it's a bit rich now that Lisa Wilkinson is upset that the public is discussing this topic, I think, because her own words and the way that she went about it exposes her for the type of integrity she has as a journalist, in my opinion. Right, that's just what I think. And to add to all of this, a couple of days ago, right, there was actually more questions raised about Lisa Wilkinson because, it appeared in one of these recorded interview things that came out that she was telling Brittany Higgins in the sense of encouraging her. This is what this article says. Lisa Wilkinson faces more questions after appearing to encourage Brittany Higgins to secretly record her boss and her actions are another subject of a police complaint. Now, this all revolves around a conversation that Brittany Higgins was planning to have with one of her senators at the time, Michaela Cash, her boss at the time, and they were discussing whether or not they should secretly record her. And the project, Channel 10 and Lisa Wilkinson, was very vague with Brittany Higgins on this topic and gave her just really poor advice. Apparently, we told this victim is very fragile, and alleged victim is very fragile, and it's got to be very careful with all these things. And Channel 10 now is talking about media standards and integrity, right? They're talking about media standards and integrity, and on that tape, we have Channel 10 and Lisa Wilkinson discussing something like breaking the law to secretly record people. Right, to secretly record people, right? These are their media standards, apparently. So you see the hypocrisy here from someone like Lisa and Channel 10. This is the same things that they do. Channel 7 right now and the other newspapers that have access to this material, they have an upper hand in this story if we're looking at it from a network perspective. And this network, Channel 10 and Lisa, are complaining about just normal things that happen in the industry. So I think Lisa Wilkinson just needs to suck it up. It is hard, I guess, being in the spotlight in this way. But, she's a public media personality and she puts it out there and she got herself involved deep in this issue. There's a lot more, that can be said about her involvement in this issue. And now she is paying somewhat of a price for doing that. Now, whether that's fair or not, people can make up their own minds on how fair that is. I personally think that, what we're seeing that's coming out really requires the public to ask these questions of people like Lisa. Hopefully, she has the integrity to come out and actually answer some of these questions without just trying to hide behind lawyers and the law and all this kind of stuff. Do the right thing, give her tainted Logie back, potentially. Who cares about the Logie, but give it back. It's all tainted now anyway. And really, probably don't engage in this type of public interest journalism for a while until she can demonstrate actually she has understood the consequences and the reason that the public are actually upset with the things that she's been involved in. Again, guys, that's my opinion on this matter. If you're enjoying my content, you can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Rumble or Odyssey at The Real Rukshan. See you next time.